Do you want to reuse your bottles, but your labels are completely stuck on like this? Well, today I'm going to show you how I prep my used containers in order to use them for crafts and other repurposing. So if you want to see how I do that and make them beautiful, stick around. First I got to get the paper off, so I peeled as much paper as possible off and then put them in some hot soapy water to soak, and then I just come back to peel the paper off. It's super easy on the glass jars. This soap, refillable soap bottle, is a little bit harder, but I'm just looking to get the paper off. The sticky, I have a different plan that gets it off fantastic with no residue. And then I have this vinegar bottle. The label comes off of that just perfectly fine, and I can just wash the label off of the rest of that. But I do have the expiration date that is on that bottle that I will get off in just a moment as well. These glass pickle jars, they also have no residue just from washing in hot soapy water. So some of your jars, that's all it takes. Let them soak in some hot soapy water and wash the label right off. Now if you want to get the expiration date off, your trick for that is going to be fingernail polish remover. Look at this, it's like magic. Just comes right off the vinegar bottle and the glass jars. So easy. I have these rectangular kind of bins here, buckets, and the expiration date on this kind of leaves a haze behind. You can't feel it, but you can see it. It's not clear anymore. Now this sticky is the worst sticky that I have dealt with, I think ever. It is extreme. Now these have all been soaked in hot soapy water, and this is still the sticky that remains from it. So I'm going to make a magic mixture here of baking soda. So I'm just going to put some in a little cup, and then I'm going to put in some oil. Well, first I'm going to break this baking soda up just so it's not chunky and it's easier to mix. And then I'm going to put in some oil, cooking oil, any kind, and then I'm going to mix it together. And I want it to be the same consistency throughout, so no chunks of baking soda, no just pure oil. But I want it to be a consistency that's kind of like making pancakes. So it's a little too runny, and if I add more baking soda, then it will get to that kind of pancake batter kind of runniness, runny batter. We're not making a cake. I don't need to be precise on my measurements. I just need that kind of thick runniness. Now I'm going to just put this all over the side of this container, and it being flat makes it a little easier because I can just keep it setting that way, and I'm going to let it set. So after I cover the entire side, I'm going to let that set for about at least 20 minutes, but because this is so sticky, I actually let it set for about 35 minutes. And then I come and I just kind of test a little corner, and I have the hottest water I can stand, hot soapy water, and this wet sponge, and I'm just working in a circular motion and kind of scrubbing that concoction all over the sticky area. And so it's taking that sticky up and kind of buffing it off. So I kind of just threw away the rest of that little concoction mixture, because I don't want it to get too much in my soapy water here, because now I'm washing away the rest of that residue from that concoction, because it's very, it's oil, so it's greasy. So I'm washing it in the hot soapy water to get that oilness off. And so you don't want to have too much water on your sponge, but you do want a wet sponge when you go to do this. And you're not pressing hard when you scrub. It doesn't take a lot of elbow grease. You're just doing it in the circular motion to really get all of that stickiness to pull away from that plastic or that container. Because I've had to do this on glass before as well. So it just depends on what adhesive did they use to put that labeling on. And so after I get this, and so I had to come back a little bit. There was still some residue, some sticky residue on the container. And I just got some more of that mixture that was on there, pulled it back, and then buffed it into it. And that'll just take that sticky right off. Okay, but the trick is letting it set for at least 20 minutes. But this, again, I let this particular one set for about 35, just because that sticky was such a tough residue that was really on there. Okay, after I did that, I washed them off in fresh hot water again, just to make sure I got all of that oil off. And if you have any oil residue at all, you can use some alcohol and just clean off the outside of your container. So I'm going to take these two containers, and I'm actually going to put some labels on the front of that, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. But because of that, I definitely want to use the alcohol on this to make sure that there's no oil residue left at all. Otherwise, anything you would try to adhere to the front of these is not going to stick. So I made some cutouts with my new Cricut, and I made 2 mass buckets. Freshies and rotters!